Okay, so let's talk about the iPhone 17. For years, the story with the standard iPhone has been, small incremental updates. But this year is different. The big story, the one thing we've all been waiting for, is that the standard model finally gets a gorgeous, high-end display. But it also starts at a higher price of admission. So the big question is simple. Do all these new features actually justify the cost? All right, let's dive right in.
And this right here is the core of it all. For the very first time, you can get a truly pro-level screen experience on the standard iPhone. But at that starting price of $799, we've got to figure out, has Apple delivered fantastic value, or have they just blurred the lines to get us to spend a little more?
Now, this might just look like a simple change on paper, but believe me, this is the single biggest upgrade to the standard iPhone in years. Moving from a 60Hz display to a 120Hz ProMotion display fundamentally changes how you interact with your phone every single day. It's the feature that, until now, has been the main reason to shell out for a Pro model.
Let's start with that display because it really is the headline feature. For anyone who has felt like the standard iPhone was being left behind, this is the upgrade you've been asking for. And it's not just a spec bump, it's a quality of life revolution. And it's not just about the smoothness either. The screen itself has actually grown to 6.3 inches, up from 6.1 on the iPhone 16. This puts it in the same size category as the more expensive iPhone 17 Pro. And with those slimmer bezels, the whole phone just feels more modern and way more immersive.
And you're getting a whole package of upgrades here. That 120Hz ProMotion makes everything feel liquid smooth. You finally get the always-on display, so you can see your widgets and notifications at a glance. It's also way brighter outdoors, and that new anti-reflective coating, it genuinely makes a difference in direct sunlight.
Okay, a pro-level display on a standard iPhone? It sounds almost too good to be true. So what's the catch? This is where we need to talk about the compromises Apple made to hit that price point, specifically when it comes to cost and performance.
First, the price. Now, while $799 is technically the same starting price as last year, Apple has gotten rid of the 128 gig option. So now, the base model comes with 256 gigs of storage. This is definitely a better value in terms of storage per dollar, but it does raise the price of admission. There's no cheaper option if you don't need all that space.
And this chart just lays out the performance trade-off perfectly. The standard iPhone 17 gets the incredibly fast A19 chip and 8 gigs of RAM. But the Pro model? It gets the even more powerful A19 Pro, 12 gigs of RAM, and a new vapor chamber cooling system. Now, for everyday use, you won't notice a thing. But for sustained, heavy tasks like long gaming sessions, the Pro is going to handle heat better and maintain its peak performance for longer.
Now for the cameras, because this is another area where the line between standard and Pro has gotten incredibly blurry. The upgrades here are massive, making the standard model feel more like a complete package than ever before.
The main camera is still a fantastic 48-megapixel sensor, but the huge news is the ultra-wide camera. It jumps from 12 megapixels all the way up to a new 48-megapixel sensor. This is a huge deal. It means your ultra-wide shots are now packed with detail and perform so much better in low light, which basically eliminates what was always the system's weakest link.
And the upgrades don't stop there. The front-facing camera is now an 18-megapixel sensor for sharper selfies, and it's got a clever landscape mode for group shots. You also get dual capture, which lets you record video from the front and back cameras at the same time. A really cool tool for vloggers or just for capturing your reaction to a moment.
So what are you actually missing by not going Pro? Well, the two big things are a dedicated telephoto lens for true optical zoom at longer ranges and professional video formats like ProRes RAW. For the vast majority of people, though, the standard iPhone 17's camera system is more than powerful enough.
A bigger, brighter 120Hz screen. That should mean worse battery life, right? Well, that's where things get pretty interesting. Let's look at the battery and some of the other quality of life improvements that really round out this phone.
Apple is claiming a huge jump in battery life. We're talking up to 30 hours of video playback. And you know what? In real-world testing, it holds up. This is a legitimate all-day battery, easily ending the day with 30 or 40% left, even with heavy use. That's seriously impressive for a phone with this kind of display.
Charging has also gotten a nice speed bump. With compatible fast charger, you can get to around 71% in just 30 minutes. I mean, that's a real benefit when you're in a rush and need to top up quickly before you head out the door.
And then there are all the little things. The new Ceramic Shield 2 is more scratch-resistant, you still get the customizable action button and that new camera control button. And it supports Wi-Fi 7, which helps future-proof the device. These aren't flashy features, but they all add up to a much more polished experience.
So after all that, is the iPhone 17 worth your money? It's never a simple yes or no answer. It really depends on who you are and what phone you're coming from. So let's break it down into a few key groups.
First up, if you're a power user or a creative pro, you should probably still be looking at the iPhone 17 Pro. The extra performance from the A19 Pro chip, the additional RAM, the better cooling, and that dedicated telephoto lens, those are all features you will likely use and appreciate.
Now, if you're upgrading from an older phone like an iPhone 12, 13, or 14, this is a total no-brainer. The jump to that 120Hz ProMotion display alone will feel like a revelation. The cameras are a huge leap forward, and the performance will feel worlds apart. For you, this is an absolute must-buy.
But what if you have a more recent iPhone 15 or 16? This is where it gets a little tricky. The single biggest reason to upgrade is that screen. If you've been jealous of the ProMotion display, this is your chance. Go for it. But if you're perfectly happy with your current 60Hz screen, you can probably hold off.
And finally, for the budget-conscious buyer. At $799, this is not a cheap phone. If price is your main concern, you should seriously consider a discounted iPhone 16. You'll miss out on that beautiful screen, which is a big loss, but you'll still get a fantastic phone and save a good chunk of change. At the end of the day, the iPhone 17 is the most significant update to the standard iPhone in years. It finally brings that premium pro-level experience to the masses without the full pro price tag, which leaves you with one final question to answer for yourself. Is that incredible new screen worth the price, or do the savings of an older model win out? What's your choice?